All right, I'm just going to cover what sort of kit and equipment you might want to consider when you're taking a river trip with the club. First thing to consider is obviously some spare dry clothes. This will probably be the stuff that you've actually travelled to the river in anyway. Um, Place that in a dry bag when you take it off so that when you get off the river, swap out into your dry gear, place all your wet gear in the dry bag, and you're good to go. Um, the dry robe is another good piece of kit for changing. That's worthwhile considering, just to keep you warm if there's a bit of a breeze blowing by the riverside, etc. Um, Towel, obviously, for just drying yourself down. Depending on the conditions on the day, you might want to consider things like a hat with a peak on it for the likes of low sun conditions, or even with neck protection on the back for those sunnier days where you might just catch the sun on the back of your neck. Things like sun cream on hotter days, or even midge repellent on those damp and miserable days as well. Sunglasses, again, for low winter sun, that's a worthwhile piece of kit to take along. If you've got sunglasses, it might be worth getting a floaty strap to go on the back of those as well, in case you drop them in the water. Food and drink, you might be considering a warm drink in a small flask. Take that along with you. That might be for yourself, or you might even be giving that to one of your fellow paddlers if they're struggling with a cold. A watertight food container just to keep lunch in. Place that inside another dry bag just to go in the back of the boat. Moving on to some of the clothing side, then a wetsuit. Various types on the market, but I would suggest not going for anything less than 3 mil for winter paddling. Um, I personally prefer the long john variety of wetsuit because that just gives you better arm mobility and movement. But the full length wetsuit is better than a shorty, for example. Over the top of that, then you can wear something like a man-made fiber, like a fleece layer. Um, just if it's a really cold day, that'll just give you an extra layer on top. On top of the wetsuit, or on top of your fleece as well, you can put a cag. Um, you can get various types. You get semi-dry, fully dry cags, or just the basic wind cheater cags. These are just to keep the wind off and the heat in, really. If you roll, some of the dry cags will avoid you getting any wet inside the cag as well. For those looking for the dry suit comfort option, clearly dry suits are a big investment, so you've got to be committed to wanting to pursue the hobby a lot more seriously. Um, with a dry suit, you want to be looking at base layers, something like the onesie, great for really cold conditions. Um, the dry suit itself, it's going to set you back a few £100, probably a reasonably priced one, about £400, just over, and they go anything up to just over £1,000 or more. Worthwhile investment, but just got to be fairly serious about getting into the sport really before shelling out that sort of money. The wetsuits are fine for the meantime. Um, if you're like me and you get too hot in a onesie, then you might want to consider thinner base layers to go under the dry suit, like a thermal rash vest, long sleeve, and then thin man-made fiber leggings, or even fleece leggings as another option. That seems to work quite well for me. To protect the socks on the dry suit from getting punctured and fair wear and tear, again, it's worthwhile having a pair of neoprene over socks just to go over the top of the dry suit socks themselves. Um, on top of that, you want to have a fairly sturdy wet shoe, neoprene in construction again, with a good thick sole and good grip on them, especially when you're on slippery rocks on the river side. Um, Again, assortment of dry bags, that's worthwhile having one or two small ones, maybe a medium-sized one for bigger things, depending on what kit you're going to be carrying on the water. And again, there's various types on the market. It's worth investing a little bit more money in a semi-decent brand. Cheaper ones don't really hold up to the job very well. On your hands, you've got various options. You can just have bare hands. You can go for gloves, mitts or pogies. Pogies are they velcro onto the paddle themselves, and you just slip your hands in. Um, People get on with them, and other people prefer just to paddle without any hand protection on at all, just so that they feel the paddle better, etc. Moving on to the buoyancy aid then, I would always suggest buying new, but if you are going to look at second-hand, go for very good quality second-hand. Don't invest in rubbish. It's not worth your own safety. Get something decent. There's various types on the market. Always good to have one with a zip pocket, just so you've got somewhere to stow some of your kit. Attached to the buoyancy aid, then you might want to consider putting a watch on one of the straps so that you can see what time it is at any point, and that's good for keeping track on progress on longer trips. Someone always wants to know the time as well, obviously, so it's always good to have that option available. Safety whistle, essential piece of kit in case anybody gets into difficulty on the river. It's an option to raise the alarm to get some help to you soon as. Safety knife, especially important if you carry a throw line or a tow line. Might need to cut yourself free or somebody else free from an entanglement through ropes. Retractable pruning saw, again, sounds a bit daft, but actually it's quite useful in an emergency situation if you've got to cut something out of branches, etc. So again, another piece of emergency kit. Carabiner and pulley system. For those that have done the whitewater safety and rescue or the advanced whitewater safety and rescue, this is a piece of kit that's really helpful in the rescuing of pinned boats or ascending and descending steep riverbanks, for example. Again, not essential for beginners, but a good piece of kit if you've done any of those courses and are more serious about the rivers that you're going down. Spare carabiners, always really good to have a couple of extras of these. Ideal for clipping additional gear into your boats and a whole range of other things. Snacks, just high energy bars, high protein bars, high energy gels, that sort of thing. Keep you going on the move. We're not going to be stopping for lunch every 5 minutes or anything like that. It's going to be just grab something on the go. So always good to have something stowed into your buoyancy aid just for a quick boost. Mobile phone, absolutely essential piece of emergency kit. Make sure it's fully charged before each trip. Know the contact numbers of others in your group and ensure you have a good waterproof pouch that will protect it so that it doesn't get damaged. And make sure that pouch, you can actually use the phone through it so that you're not actually having to take it out of that pouch and risk it dropping in the drink. Mini first aid kit, just something like nitrile gloves, small bandage and a couple of plasters. Electrical tape, now that's an absolutely brilliant piece of kit. It's so multi-purpose. You can use it for first aid purposes. It'll really sort of work well on the water in terms of covering over cuts, and also you can use it for various kit repairs. Hand sanitizer, again, not an essential piece of kit, but it's there in the first aid side of things that you can just basically clean your hands prior to handling any wounds, etc. Ziploc seals for any emergency boat repairs, things like your seat straps or other straps, buoyancy aids, anything like that. It can help quite considerably. 5 meter safety sling and carabiner. These can be used for things like boat rescue, boat towing, or belaying as well. Various other things on top of that. Emergency 2-person shelter. In case of a casualty on the river and you're miles from anywhere, this will keep the casualty warm and out of the elements until help arrives. Mini brew kit and a stove. Again, when you're getting more serious about things and you're in the middle of nowhere, might be quite a good piece of kit just to get a warm brew on the go if things have gone a bit south on you. Drinking water, important to have plenty for your needs on the river for any long duration. It's just good to keep hydrated. We can expend a lot of energy and sweat out quite a lot. So just getting those water levels topped up all the time is really, really useful. Keep it handy in the front of your boat as well, just so that you're not having to stop and get out of your boat and get to it. Helmet, a must on any whitewater trip. Again, making sure that's in good condition. If you always look after it, it's going to look after you if and when it's needed. Um, a throw line, really essential for grade 2 and above rivers to rescue others, and it's there available for others to use if you're not immediately on scene. They can grab it out of your boat as well. Main first aid kit, keep it in date, have it easily accessible in the rear of your boat as well. So it's something, if you can't get to it and grab it, someone else can get to it quick as well. Spray deck, essential if you want to roll back up after a capsize. And then your paddle, your best friend, never let it go if you can avoid it.